welcome back to my channel. Actually, more likely welcome to my channel for the first time. I'm pretty new here on YouTube. I am trying something super new today that I have never tried before that I'm pretty nervous to try, which is gouache. I have wanted to try gouache for so long. It's something that I know a lot of people love. Like the people who do gouache, I feel like I would compare to the people who play saxophones. Like, have you ever watched a saxophone player? Saxophone players play saxophone like no other musician plays their instrument. They play it and you know they love it, and I feel like that's what gouache people are like. They do gouache and they love gouache and they rave about gouache. I have never tried it. I am primarily an oil painter. I do stuff like this. And I do stuff like that, the abstract stuff. So I have wanted to try it for a really long time. I just haven't like gotten myself to do it, you know? But luckily, I have an amazing community on TikTok, and one of those people, Christian, sent me the gouache that was in my wish list on my Amazon, and so I finally get to try it. It is specifically, I wonder if I can find the box for you. He sent me specifically the Winsor & Newton designer gouache set. This is the basic set. It only came with the primaries, which is really all you need. Something that I will say is that gouache humbled me, and that is not something I expected. I expected to struggle a little bit getting started because I've never used the medium before, but I have had a lot of practice with acrylic paint. So I've heard before that gouache is kind of similar to acrylic, but it can also act like a watercolor if you add more water to it. So I thought that I would be kind of okay, because before I did primarily oils, I did primarily acrylics. I stopped doing acrylics specifically because I didn't like how quickly it dries, and that was also an issue with the gouache for me. But it challenged me in a lot of ways that I didn't expect, because as much as there are similarities to acrylic, it is also very different than acrylic, and that humbled me. Not only that, but I think I haven't used acrylic in so long that I'm just really not used to a fast drying time. The other thing that I was really worried about with the gouache was I feel like I am not as strong as I could be when it comes to color theory and color mixing. When I do my oil paintings, I have been oil painting for a long time, so I have so many colors to play with, and I know how to mix very specific colors to get what I want, but I have not had a lot of practice in working with just primary colors. And so the reference photo that I chose was of a person, me, it was a self-portrait. And so I had to mix skin colors, and having to mix skin colors from primaries is something that I don't have a lot of practice in my usual mediums. So then trying that with a new fast drying medium was a hitch that I didn't fully expect when I chose my reference photo, because I chose a reference photo that I thought would be approachable and pretty simple and easy for me to do, because I was exploring a new medium. I didn't want anything really complicated, but I did not account for the fact that I would have to do a lot of color mixing with this specific reference photo. And so I did get myself into a little bit of trouble there. I figured it out pretty quickly. I do know the basics of what colors to mix, but there was a little bit of trial and error. And even just mixing on the palette was a little bit different, because as I'm like scooping paint, you know, I was mixing with my paintbrush. I don't know if people mix gouache with a palette knife. Can you pre-mix gouache? I didn't even try that. Normally with my oil paints, I pre-mix and then I can use those paints for like a week or so before they start to dry up too much. But with the gouache, I didn't even try to pre-mix, to be honest. I don't know if you can, but I also have small tubes, so I didn't want to like waste too much of it. Anyway, the third thing I was really nervous about was how my style was going to transfer from the oil painting to the gouache, because I feel like my style is one that I don't often see in gouache, or one that I haven't seen in gouache, although I am sure people do it. I tend to do a little bit more on the hyperrealism side. I tend to do a lot of really vibrant colors, and I tend to blend like to the extreme. I like things to be perfectly smooth and blended out. I don't like to be able to see so much the transition between colors. And I do know with gouache, it tends to be a little bit more of an illustrative style. People tend to do it for like narrative storybook stuff, and there's a little bit more of an expressiveness to the gouache whenever I've seen it. So I was nervous about how I would attempt that. I'm really excited to keep working with this medium. I think that I have a lot to learn. There were a few times where I just wasn't sure what order I should be putting the colors down in, how to properly blend different colors together as they're drying so fast. You know, like with oil, you kind of put everything in its place and then you blend it out, but you can't really do that as much with the gouache because things dry. But then also maybe you can because it reactivates when you put the water on top. So I just have a lot more playing to do. I do feel really happy though with how it came out. I think again, I have a lot to learn, but I really liked the medium and I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of myself for 1, getting outside of my comfort zone. I'm proud of myself for 2, trying again, even though I was humbled so severely the first time. And I'm proud of myself for 3, being able to paint in a little bit more of an expressive way, in a more free way. If you've followed me for a long time on my TikTok or my Instagram, that's something I've been talking about for a while, is being able to achieve that expressiveness in my work. And I really think that working with the gouache has forced me to do that almost, and I think if I continue to work with that, some of those new skills will transfer into my other mediums, and I'm really excited about that. I have a few more pictures from this like photo session, and so I was thinking maybe I could do like a little gouache series of these photos. I also think it would be fun to paint this reference photo in oil and just compare the two. And maybe I could do it in like all of my favorite mediums and compare. That's such a good idea. I should totally do that. Anyway, look at me, big brain. So I think that's it. I want to say thank you again literally so much to Christian, not only for sending me the paints and the pad, but for just being so supportive and encouraging in the lives. Like, you're the one who uses gouache and who really encouraged me to take this step and then sent it to me so that I could, and I really think it's gonna have such a positive impact on the rest of my artistic practice, so I can't like say thank you enough for that. That was so nice of you. And thank you so much for watching this video, for engaging with me on here, on TikTok, on Instagram. If you're new here, welcome. Please like, subscribe, whatever you do.